Somewhere beneath the Mediterranean, there is a city older than the pyramids, with streets you could still walk down if you could only hold your breath long enough. For as long as people have built along the water has been quietly taking it back. Not in legends, not in Atlantis, in real mapped ruins that divers touch with their hands today. Temples, harbors, whole neighborhoods, resting on the seabed exactly where they sank. We found 7 of them. We'll start with the oldest sunken town ever discovered and count down to the strangest case of all. A city that didn't drown by accident. It was put underwater on purpose, and it happened less than a lifetime ago. Let's begin. Just off the coast of Israel, under only a few meters of water, lies something almost impossibly old. A Neolithic village, roughly 9,000 years old. That's older than writing, older than the wheel, older than almost anything we usually call ancient. It's called Atlit-Yam. On the seabed, archaeologists found house foundations, a stone well, and a mysterious semicircle of standing stones. The kind of thing people built to mark something that mattered. There are even human remains, preserved in the silt, that tell us how these people lived and how they got sick. So what happened to them? Here, the honest answer is, we're still arguing about it. The sea level was slowly rising at the end of the last ice age, and that alone could have swallowed a low coastal village over generations. But some researchers point to another suspect, a tsunami, possibly triggered by a collapse of Mount Etna across the sea. The evidence isn't settled. Either way, the ending is the same. One of humanity's first attempts at settled life by the sea, quietly erased, and hidden so well that we only found it by accident, thousands of years later. Off the southern tip of Greece, in water shallow enough to snorkel, there's a town that breaks the rules of how old something is allowed to be, and still look like a town. This is Pavlopetri, and it may be the oldest submerged town we've ever mapped. It's around 5,000 years old, already standing when the Great Pyramids were being built. And unlike a vague scatter of stones, Pavlopetri still has a full street plan. Roads, courtyards, the outlines of houses, even graves. You can swim down its main street. For a place this old, that's extraordinary. It means this wasn't a cluster of huts. It was an organized community, with planning, with trade, with neighbors who knew each other's doorways. And then the sea came up. A combination of slowly rising water and earthquakes. This part of the Mediterranean is geologically restless, gradually pulled Pavlopetri under, probably around 3,000 years ago. No disaster, no single bad night. Just the patient arithmetic of a coastline that wins, every time, if you wait long enough. Our next city didn't sink because it was poor or forgotten. It sank because it was built on top of a volcano's breathing chest. And it was, by Roman standards, paradise. Baiae sat on the Bay of Naples, and for the Roman elite, it was the ultimate resort. Luxury villas, heated baths, and a reputation for parties scandalous enough that serious Romans wrote disapproving letters about it. Emperors had homes here. This was where Rome came to misbehave. But Baiae sits inside the Phlegraean Fields, a vast, restless volcanic zone where the ground itself slowly rises and falls over centuries. Geologists call this bradycism. Over time, the land around Baiae sank, and the sea calmly walked in over the marble floors. Today, much of Baiae is an underwater archaeological park. You can dive over intact mosaics and statues still standing where Romans left them. A whole city of pleasure, preserved not by stone, but by the same sea that drowned it. Before Alexandria became the great port of Egypt, there was another city guarding the mouth of the Nile. and it was so completely lost that for centuries, historians weren't sure it had ever really existed. Its name was Thonis-Heracleion. For a time, it was Egypt's main gateway to the sea, a city of temples and canals where every ship entering the country had to stop. Then, it slipped beneath the waves and disappeared from the map entirely. It survived only as a name in a few old texts, half myth. Until the year 2000, when underwater archaeologists found it. Colossal statues, temple ruins, gold, and stone tablets, all resting in the bay near Alexandria. What killed it was geology disguised as bad luck. The city was built on soft Nile sediment near the coast. Rising seas, the weight of its own buildings, and the way that wet sandy ground can suddenly behave like liquid during a quake, all of it combined over centuries to swallow Thonis-Heracleion whole. A city that once controlled who entered Egypt, erased so thoroughly it became a legend. Our next city sits where history and legend meet, and where we have to be careful about the difference. In Hindu tradition, the coast of Gujarat in western India is linked to a fabled golden city said to have been founded by the god Krishna, a city the sea is said to have eventually reclaimed. For a very long time, that was considered pure myth. Then marine archaeologists started diving off the modern town of Dwarka, and they found real man-made structures on the seabed, stone blocks, foundations, walls. Something was built here, and the sea did take it. But here's the honest part. Whether these ruins are the city of legend or how old they truly are is still genuinely debated among researchers. Dating underwater sites is hard, and extraordinary claims need careful proof. So we won't tell you this is Krishna's city. We'll tell you something more interesting and more solid. That beneath these waters lies real, lost architecture. A place where a story people have told for thousands of years brushes up against actual stone on the ocean floor. Almost every city on this list sank slowly, over centuries, too gradually for anyone to notice it happening. This one didn't. This one went under in a matter of minutes. In the 17th century, Port Royal in Jamaica was one of the busiest, richest, and most notorious ports in the Caribbean, a hub of trade, sailors, and pirates, with a reputation wild enough to earn it the nickname, the wickedest city on earth. Then, in the summer of 1692, a powerful earthquake struck. The ground Port Royal was built on was loose sand, and the shaking turned it almost liquid. In just a few minutes, a large part of the city slid straight into the sea. When the water settled, much of Port Royal was gone, and thousands of people had lost their lives. What makes Port Royal haunting is how ordinary the ruins are. Divers have found everyday life frozen in place. Buildings, household objects, even a pocket watch that stopped at the moment the city fell. It's one of the only places on Earth where you can see an entire town caught in the single instant the ground gave way. And now the strangest case of all, because this city wasn't lost to a rising sea, a quake, or a slow-breathing volcano. This one was drowned deliberately by us, within living memory. High in the hills of eastern China stood an old walled city, with roots going back well over 1,000 years, and beautiful stone archways carved by generations of craftsmen. People lived there, worked there, were born and buried there. Then, in 1959, the country needed power. A new dam would create a vast reservoir, and the valley where the city stood was chosen to disappear beneath it. Tens of thousands of people were relocated, and the water rose over the rooftops until the entire city was gone. But the water did something no one expected. With no sunlight, no wind, and no storms to wear it down, the lake protected the city instead of destroying it. Today, divers descend into Shicheng, the lion city, and find carved dragons and lions as sharp as the day they were made. A whole city, perfectly preserved, frozen at the bottom of a man-made lake. It's the cleanest proof of the idea behind everything on this list. Give water enough time or enough reason, and it will take whatever we build and keep it. 7 cities, 7 different stories, a Stone Age village, a Bronze Age town, a Roman playground, an Egyptian gateway, a legend off India's coast, a port that fell in minutes, and a city we drowned with our own hands. What ties them together isn't disaster, it's patience. The sea doesn't rush. It rises a little each century, waits out the earthquakes, and quietly keeps everything we leave behind. Most of these places weren't destroyed. They were preserved in the one museum that never closes. There are many more of them down there, still waiting to be found. If you'd like to keep exploring the lost world beneath the water with us, stick around. The deep is patient, and it's keeping a lot of secrets. Thank you for watching.